Okay, we're making Lup Na. It's a traditional Laotian dish, street vendor's dish actually, and I've got some white rice noodles here, and I've just cut all of them up into nice little white strips, and we've got a bowl full of 4 of them right here. Okay, we're going to put these up into the microwave for about 2.5 minutes, just to give them a bit of heat to loosen them all up, then we can separate them. Okay, these have just come out of the mic. This size amount of, or the amount of noodles here, just loosens them up in the mic so we can separate them all. This actually took about 4.5 minutes in the microwave because there's 4 packets. 2 packets is for 4 people. This is a big serving here. And that enables us to loosen them all up. So what we've got to do now is separate them all so they're individual noodles. And we've just got them all separated now, and they're ready to be fried. And these are our other ingredients. Now remember, this is a double batch for about 8 people, so if you're doing 4 you use half the amount. So we've got our stir-fried beef, we've got our favourite Thai basil, which is just fantastic and integral to this recipe. And over here we've got our Chinese broccoli. This is normally what you use for 4, which is 1 pack, and we've got 2 here, it's a double serving. And remembering once again, double dish because we're cooking for 8 people, but I'm going to whisk up 3 eggs here, and they're for putting in with the noodles, which we'll get to in a second when we fry them up. Next thing to prepare all this Chinese broccoli, and as you can see, I'm just kind of split this up so it's just easier to cook. And I'll just split up the stems here, and then of course we chop those veggies up just like that, across like that. That's your Chinese broccoli, and we're going to put that into the stir fry when we get to it. Our Thai basil, our favourite herb in the universe. We're going to take it off the stem, and we only want the leaves. Okay, we've got the main ingredients here we're going to use to actually cook the dish. We've got some rice flour, we've got some dark mushroom soy sauce, we've got some light soy sauce or seasoning sauce. It's a little bit different, but it's a light soy. We've got our oyster sauce, normal soy sauce, and then we've got best kind of fish sauce. Forgot to mention a couple of ingredients. Of course, we're going to need a good organic beef stock. Brilliant. We're making Beef Lup Na tonight. Rather than the chicken Lup Na. Chicken Lup Na use chicken stock tonight and chicken, and tonight we're using beef and beef stock. That's the nice thing about this dish. It's really easy to do chicken and beef. The main difference is your stock. And we've got our 2 little quintessential ingredients here, a little bit of ginger and some garlic, and that's what we use to fry up the meat. Okay, so what we have here is everything we need for the dish prepared, our mise en place. So everything we need for this is right here. We've got our noodles, we've got our veggies, our meat, we've got our egg wash here, we've got our rice, Thai basil, organic, our sauces, a little bit of thing, and we're going to go and prepare the meal right now. Okay, so we've got a really hot seasoned wok here with a pretty generous portion of vegetable oil, and we're going to fry up these noodles, and we're going to do them half at a time because it's such a big batch and they're kind of hard and you've got to manipulate them. So we're going to do half of them, and then we'll do the other half in a minute. And then we want to turn these, get them covered in oil first. That's our first thing. You just got to really kind of pay attention when you're doing this. You don't want your noodles sticking to your pan. I mean, a Teflon wok is the go. This one's kind of how you go on this wok. It's had a hard life. And we're just going to get the oil all around them and get them oiling up. And then we're going to add just about half of our egg wash, like that, through them. The other half's for the rest. And then we're going to put some dark mushroom soy sauce in there, and that's how we get our lovely brown. I'm going to fry those up there like that. Now we get our brown rice noodles. That's what we're aiming for, and we're just going to keep turning those around until they're golden brown and soft for about 2 or 3 minutes. We're going to get those into a bowl. You can see they're starting to soften up now and look nice. I'm just going to keep frying that up there, and we've got to wash the pan in between these, ready for our next batch. Okay, so what we've got here is 2 or 3 minutes down the road with the wonders of modern technology. We've kind of taken 2 or 3 minutes out of our life here, well, your life. But this is what we end up with, is some really nice browned up noodles with the dark mushroom soy sauce. And then we're going to put those in a bowl. And okay, so we've got our noodles all cooked up, and we do these first because the dish is actually served on top of the noodles, so they can sort of sit there. And we're just going to put one of these over here to keep them kind of keep them warm, so that we can do our fry up our meat. Okay, so we've got a hot seasoned wok here with some vegetable oil in it, a reasonably generous portion of the ginger and the garlic, and now we're going to fry up our meat. And I'm going to cook up that meat first. Okay, so what we've got here is some rice flour. And remember, double batch for 8 people, so for 4 people you're probably going to use about half the amount of this. We've got our beef stock, and what we're going to do is mix up a little brew here that we're going to put into our stir-fry beef. Okay, all stirred up with the beef stock there, ready to put into our stir-fry, nice and smooth. Okay, so we've been frying up the meat for about 2 minutes, maybe 2.5. It's kind of about 80% done, it's still red on the inside here, but it's browned up. And we're ready to add the other ingredients. So we want just a little bit of the seasoning sauce. We want some soya. Put some soya in there. A little bit generous with the soya. We've got a little bit of fish sauce, and we don't want too much. We just want a couple of shots of that because it's very strong. Then we've got a little bit of dark soy sauce. And then we've got our oyster sauce. And we'll put a pretty generous portion of oyster sauce in here. And now we're going to maybe a little more. Now we're going to stir this up, because what we're doing here is we want to make a nice gravy that goes with the beef, and that's what we're doing here, is just getting that all mixed through there, those ingredients, and we're going to give it a bit more of a cook, and then we're going to add our beef stock and rice flour. Maybe we'll just give that another minute or 2 to cook. Okay, so we've got our meat cooking here for another minute, and we're going to add a little bit of sugar here because we're going to add a lot of vegetables into the dish, and to take the tang out of the vegetables, make it our nice comfort food that we're aiming at, we add a little bit of sugar, and it takes that sour element out of the veg, the Chinese broccoli. So now we've got our meat here, it's almost ready, and what we're going to do is we're going to add our little beef broth and corn syrup. Sorry, not corn syrup, we're using rice flour in this dish. Now we're going to mix that through, and you can see that immediately starts to get thick. As soon as you put that in, it's starting to thick up like a nice gravy, because that's what we're aiming for here. We're aiming for a really nice gravy. We're going to mix that all around, and that's kind of looking like a thick gravy. It's extra thick. That's what we want. Nice and thick, thick, thick. So when we add our beef stock, which we put the rest of the container in like this, it's done. Looks like the dog agrees that that's what we need to do. So now we're going to stir that through. Just give that another 30 seconds there to settle, and that's going to thicken up. So we've got our meat, we've got our gravy all ready here, and it's just coming to the boil on full temperature. So we're going to add our Thai basil. Now we're going to add all our veg, then we're going to turn that through the dish. Okay, so I've turned the vegetables through there, and now I'm going to cook this for about 2 minutes on full power, just to get those veggies kind of cooked up for a bit. And then I'm going to simmer this for about another 4 or 5 minutes on low temperature. And we don't want the veggies too cooked, we want them cooked but not too much, so they're nice and crispy. And you can see that gravy's just lush there, look at that. So we've got our gravy, we've got our veggies, and that is what Lup Na is. That's a comfort food. It's not spicy. The whole family can sit down and eat it. And you serve, you can spice your own dish up when you serve your own food. So spice at the plate rather than spice at the dish. That way, children and adults can all sit together and eat it quite comfortably. So we get about 4 or 5 more minutes, maybe of that just simmering lightly in there. And then that dish is ready to serve straight over the noodles. Okay, so we've finished up here. We've got our noodles, we've got our dish. Should look something like that when you're finished. And I think it's time to have some food, because I'm hungry. I don't know about you. And that is Lup Na.